Hey, my name is Dan Reeses, and today is July 22nd at approximately 1:30 p.m. I am able to work without any distractions since my children are safe in an amazing environment, and I wanted to say a special thanks to the camp directors / owners of the camp, as well as everyone that works underneath them for creating one of the safest, most balanced environments a parent could ever ask for during a relatively tumultuous time in my life. And I use YouTube to maintain continuity, which means that I have filmed 5 years of content. Any disruption to what I do for a living would seem abnormal. And it is I that found myself feeling crazy because I kept repeating the same actions, expecting different results. And when I talked to my best friend and I realized that I needed to change my actions, but I was able to do it retroactively a few weeks before I had dinner. And I just wanted to say that in the real world where I live, there are words that are often misused by human beings. So before I film content, which I'll start tonight, including The Prisoner's Dilemma, starring Ashley and Tim. Why? Because bullying will no longer be tolerated in Livingston, New Jersey. And even worse, cyberbullying, which has a metadata stamp. And I know for a fact, one of those two women recorded or took photographs of a very uncomfortable moment in my life. And I'm not here to air out dirty laundry, but I'm trying to explain to everyone that if I do not stand up on behalf of all the children that are being tortured by popular kids' parents, then I am no worse than the people that are involved in it. And I have not been able to be myself in many years, so I'm very grateful for everyone that assisted me in being able to be honest. None of these videos are meant to hurt anyone, and I'm always open to communication in both the public space, telephone, or any other matter. Everybody knows exactly how to reach me. Now, I just want everyone to understand that a threat is not a warning. And it is very often human beings that are very bad at math and very good at manipulation of the English language will constitute a threat warning as a threat in order to weaponize the warning back against the person that's warning them. So if you are a bunch of bullies that are about to beat up 11 from Stranger Things and she says, hey, everyone's neck's about to break if you hit me. And the bullies say, is that a threat? No, it's a warning. Like a threat would be like, I'm gonna break your necks if you don't do something. But if these people choose to hurt me, they're gonna have their necks broken. Stranger Things, 11. So that's the difference between a warning and a threat. Now, I would like to unbox Schrodinger's cat again, and I would like to say, is the box containing Jamie Resnick alive, or Jamie Resnick is dead? If Jamie Resnick is here, please come on. Obviously she's not here. That means that she is not participating in the filming of this. So anything that I film completely alone. This is 100% my opinion, nor is she a part of it. She has a job she has to do, which is maintain continuity and protect the safety of minors when it comes to content that's being derived by me to the people that are watching this. We are involved in several legal matters that prevent us from saying many things. But luckily for me, I have never said disparaging things about many of the entities that I am in legal battles with, because it is not my opinion. I am a very honest person when it comes to YouTube. In my personal life, I will not discuss it. And the reason why I say this is because I find myself in a world of one, where I am both highly intelligent, going through legal matters that I should not be going through, because not only am I a victim of financial fraud, I am also not a human being who has committed any crimes whatsoever, yet I found myself incarcerated amongst active criminals, which is okay, because communication is the core of my issue. People feel that this YouTube channel is over communication. Other people want to silence me. Other people want me to talk more. Other people want me to scream louder. It is not their decision of how I communicate, but it is mine. And it took me many years to be able to accept this, that this channel is brilliant. because it allows one human being to talk to the world without any filter, disguise, or ambiguity. So let me make it a little less ambiguous for you. Insult is an insult. An insult is not illegal unless there's some sort of a court order, because we live in the United States of America where adults have the freedom of speech. Obviously, you can't traumatize children by using certain words and alluding to many things. So using an insult in context to a minor is not legal, in my opinion, especially not consenting. But insulting another adult is the preferable way to take out your aggression rather than violence. Obviously, insults are not good. They don't solve anything. They only fuel a fire, and sometimes an insult is worse than violence, depending on how sensitive the subject matter is. I hope I've explained that. Now, a bluff is something that I don't do. I do not bluff. I cannot do my job, neither as a father nor as a federal agent that is in charge of running the most complex narratives in human history, if I bluff. Because a bluff is a lie that you tell yourself. You have to be able to lie to yourself and pretend like what you have is not what it is. I do not do that. My life is already complicated as it is, and I have done everything I could to streamline and make my life less complicated, which only made it even more complicated. So to bluff and to lie to myself would really affect the facts. Facts are something that I utilize routinely in numerical fashion in order to prove a point. Very often, facts are looked at as insults, but when you look at my communications, you're only allowed to categorize in one out of the 6 items. So I can easily disprove that any threats are actually facts, and any threats are actually warnings, and warnings are not insults, and insults is not communication. So you can only select one of them when you want to disparage my communications. And the reason why I say this is because you have all lost. If I'm here filming on YouTube about my incarceration, my children are being very safely cared for, and I have not only never been an addict to any substances, the illusion that I would ever mix foreign substances that alter adults' brains with my children in some way is so scary and laughable, because anyone that knows me knows that children's safety is something that I'm like weirdly big on. And that's coming from a guy that gave his kids quads and really encourages boys being boys type of activity. But safety is extremely important to me. And the reason for that is because I'm covered in scars from a childhood where my finger was almost taken off. I can't even get into it, but the point of all of this is that I want to be a wise man, and I want my children to be smart men. And the difference between a wise man and a smart man is a wise man learns from his mistakes, which I have done. And the smart man learns from other people's mistakes, which I want my children to do. So this channel is extremely important for me as a human being. So your opinions of this channel are not something that is absolutely relevant at all whatsoever, especially if no laws are being broken, and the content that I disseminate is life-altering, at least for one person, let alone the millions that have watched and understand how difficult it is to film in 22-minute segments with no teleprompter, no guidelines, and absolutely nothing more than what's in your brain. Which means that in order for me to have done this, I would have to have rehearsed it in my brain over and over and over again. And that's why I'm back to 3.5 hours of sleep. Because human beings take sleep for granted. They use it as an excuse to not be awake. If a human being has the rest that they need, and their body's in tune and in balance, a normal healthy adult within the bracket of acceptable weight, age, height, and all other factors of health should not need more than 4 hours of sleep a night. Anything more than that really throws off a life cycle. Now this is my opinion. I also do not believe in drinking on a daily basis, let alone weekly, because it really affects your organs as well as many other parts of your brain. But I like when people around me have drinks because it allows them to really enjoy themselves more. That's a responsible way of using alcohol. Abusing alcohol would be to drink in circumstances where you need to change yourself. That's an abuse of the alcohol because you're not using it for recreational purposes, but you're using it as some sort of a lubricant for your own insecurities. And that is a slippery slope because that dynamic changes within the circumstances of time and pace. That being said, responsible human beings have always been at the mercy of irresponsible human beings who misuse and abuse liberties that are awarded to all of society, such as during Prohibition or when marijuana was illegal. These elements only existed in a time frame where there was a massive misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding came from the federal government and human beings. Those misunderstandings lead to dichotomies of crime and various other horrible byproducts, which me and my team are responsible to not allow a mushroom sport to fester. And that being said, I want everyone to understand that although I am mentally scarred from my experiences of unlawful incarceration, what came out of it is one of the most brilliant concepts you'll ever hear. And first and foremost, I want to say that my 3 businesses that I am 100% the owner of, that Jamie currently has temporary custodialship, and I trust her very much. It is ProSlay, Cash Cow, and Microbank. It took me 30 years or so to build Cash Cow and Microbank as the foundation. But ProSlay is the one that I will bring to market first, because ProSlay will be first launched with the Public Defender's Office. In actuality, I have said many, many times that you cannot copy me, especially once I put the concept on YouTube. It is very dangerous, and you will end up in a lot of lawsuits if you're even able to make it to a launch party. That being said, I would like to add the key element to my MILF concept flag football before I finish up, and that is dodgeball. I will create the dodgeball league that everyone's wanted. I will actually do it with the real estate that's not being utilized at Sky Zone. If anyone copies me from this point forward, I will sue you using ProSlay, because these are my concepts. I didn't invent dodgeball, and I didn't invent leagues, and I didn't invent playing dodgeball on trampolines, but I invented a league based on the movie Dodgeball that needs to be incorporated in northern New Jersey, which doesn't currently exist. I get copied all the time. It'll never happen again because of ProSlay. ProSlay is a play on words for pro se. It allows human beings, such as myself, who have brilliant concepts and not the means in order to protect those concepts, to really isolate their powers of being entrepreneurs and visionaries and remove the legal cumbersome element of protection and leave it up to artificial intelligence. Now that's on the social aspect and civil cases. But the launch of ProSlay will 100% be with the Public Defender's Office, because public defenders are overwhelmed with the number of cases, they are underpaid, and they lack the resources to file the motions in proper and ample time. I, Daniel M. Reeses, have been wrongfully accused of a crime. So I will be able to prove to the world that my artificial intelligence, which is ProSlay powered by Casper, the most artificial and most advanced legal engine in AI currently in 2025. Harvey, which is the second in the market, is worth billions of dollars, but it only supports large law firms who are already over-resourced. ProSlay is designed for human beings that are in prison or incarcerated and deserve the same shake as human beings who have the money to pay for high-priced lawyers. So if a public defender has 40 cases on their docket and they work 40 hours a week, they can only allow 1 hour a week to the case. So if a human being has their life in the ballot, they're not going to be able to represent them properly because they don't have the resources to file the motions, go through the interview process, communicate with their client, and a slew of other things that private attorneys do for large amounts of money. That is a paradox that needed to be resolved. And I was able to figure out an applied mathematical equation, which I will launch in the next couple of days. So for example, anyone that finds these videos offensive or disparaging needs to simply go a little bit forward, understand that this is a billion-dollar concept, and these videos are nothing more than the stepping stones of a billion-dollar concept being made public in real time by the only human being that could ever do it. And I had to actually go through the process in order to understand how the equation will be launched. Not where, not when, not why, but how. How will it be launched? And it will be launched through the Public Defender's Office. Because whether or not a human being is guilty or not is not what ProSlay is interested in. ProSlay is interested in minimizing the amount of labor that is required to equilaterally represent human beings who do not have the money for it. That's it. And then eventually the world will understand the value of that in a social, civil settings with civil litigation, tort law, motion practice, and everything else that will begin tomorrow. So I will not only be filing and working, but I will also be filming videos to show exactly what is going on. So for anyone that's curious why I've been in so many lawsuits, that is to only bring me to this point where I have everything lined up absolutely perfectly, and I'm able to show the fraud that I was a victim of over and over and over and over again. I was a victim of this fraud because I didn't have the resources necessary in order to isolate the root of the problem and actually bring it to court. Now that I am at the helm and the creator of ProSlay, I will use the application that I invented on my own cases in real time. And by proving that, I will prove that the concept is worthy to go to market. So essentially, if I fail in litigation, I will not go to full market with the product. There might be a derivative form, there'll be a first round investment option, all these things, but I will not go to market. For example, I received an email today, which was very offensive, very insulting, and very unlawful. I don't want to say illegal, I'll say unlawful. And I was able to respond to this email in less than 15 minutes. And the reason why I say this is that the parties involved really need to think about two factors. Number one, if I'm here, everything is meant to be the way it is. And number two, I would never engage in something so serious unless I knew that I had full control of all aspects of a narrative that no one can lie to disprove. My story is true. I highly recommend human beings who have an entire night to think about presenting me with several options of how to remove themselves from going on the witness stand. I would like everyone to take a moment to understand that this is nothing more than a fact. And the fact is very simple. I love my wife, I love my children. I don't know how I'm supposed to communicate and explain to certain individuals that what they're doing is playing with fire. And we're at a point where I'm not able to negotiate or communicate or do any of the things that I'm really good at to solve problems for people that I love. Because I pride myself in family dynamic and problem resolution. And I'm not able to do my job to protect my family. I don't have certain access to communication points, and I need to respect everyone's boundaries at all times and show that my behavior is a direct result of circumstances that were in the past. There are only 3 states of a human being's perception of reality: past, present, and future. I'm the only human being that can live in all 3. I have explained to everyone that they only get to choose 2. That video will be filmed later. Today is solely and strictly for business-related matters, legal updates, and documentation of my mental state given the circumstances. All of these factors are extremely important to me as a human being. Once again, I want to remind everyone that I've never seen or heard of anyone being able to speak in fluidity for this much time without fluff or interjection of some edited form. And I say this because Jerry Smith is the kind of character that I'm going against. I find myself loving the person and hating their actions. And that's the dynamic between Rick Sanchez and Jerry Smith. And I find myself also looking at my family dynamic and saying, tomorrow. Because today, I need to fix financial stability in the long run. And I'm not able to do that without communication. So social acceptance, that's also tomorrow. So what we have here is an episode that will be called Tom and Jerry in some derivative form, because it features a cat and a mouse, and we talk about Schrodinger's cat, and we like to joke about metaphysics, or I do at least. So in order to do that, I would have to first create all of this just to get to the word Tom twice. See that? That is very difficult to do. If I'm able to do this in a very small, short period of time on YouTube in order to prove a point that Mal Pierce is a real human being that I became very close with, and I'll be talking a lot about Mal Pierce because I'm allowed to, and that's my friend. And Mr. Addison was right behind us. So we were going to court. In front of me was Mal Pierce, and behind me was Mr. Addison. But Mr. Addison's not a close friend of mine, so I have no interest in talking. But Mal Pierce is a close friend of mine. He would give me a hug right here, and he'll be right on this channel soon, I hope. And that's where ProSlay comes in. We do not judge innocent or guilty. We are a resource, a tool for human beings who are under a lot of pressure and under-resourced in light of constitutional availability of resources of artificial intelligence. If anyone can explain to me why Pro Slay is not yet in the public defender's office, then yeah, we can have an argument. But when we live in a world of artificial intelligence and the public defender's office is so overwhelmed they can't even communicate with their client, let alone do their job of motion practice or investigation or any of the things a private attorney would do, well, I would say to you, I have a solution for it. And if you give me a few more videos and a little bit of a time and chance, you will see that what I have created is not only brilliant, but it is also completely life-altering. But you have to give me the one thing that I value most, time. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and finish this video and explain to everyone that the only thing that could beat me is love. No amount of hate, no amount of discouragement, no amount of insults, no amount of threats, no amount of warnings, nothing. The only thing that could beat me is love. That's a fact.